Next up, we've got a little announcement here. FPV Great announced. Their announcement was kind of confusing. By the way, if you guys don't know, do you guys know about FPV Crate? FPV Crate is a website. There's a store. They sell stuff, but they also sell subscription boxes. And I think that's part of the confusion, Blunty. Because they announced they were... What did they announce?
I don't know. It's not clear.
Right.
If you move that banner on the website, you can see up at the top.
I don't even see on their front page.
Yeah, you basically have to move the banner. There you go. Get in on the last FPV Crate.
Oh, okay. The last FPV Crate. And I had to ask. I reached out to Artem Corbin, who runs the company, as far as I know. And I said, Artem, are you just stopping shipping boxes? Or are you going out of business? And he said, no, we're still... They have a full store. They sell a Tiny Trainer. They sell Radio Master. They have a limited selection of stuff, but some stuff they have really good supplies of. And he said they're still going to run the store. They're just having a lot of trouble keeping a subscription box going in 2022.
Yep. I can understand that. Everything's more expensive. Shipping's more expensive, and less people probably want to spend money on that stuff. So I imagine it's tough.
I've always thought that FPV subscription boxes were a dubious proposition.
Hot take. All subscription boxes are terrible.
Okay, now hang on. Hang on now. Like, I have a hot sauce subscription box. And every month I get 3 new hot sauces. And, generally I'm excited to get them. Right? Because it's just a different variety. And sometimes there's a good one in there. I feel like there are products where subscription boxes can work.
I guess so. I mean, I don't want to overpay for hot sauce. But, I understand what you mean. But,
you think I'm overpaying?
It's just I'm not creative, so I get what you're saying, but it's like, hey, I don't feel like picking a new hot sauce every month, so you can send me some, right? Yeah. But you're paying more for the shipping and the boxes and their labeling and get it together.
I guess I should check. I mean, I thought the deal was you're supposed to save money.
I bet you're paying
and get free stuff.
Here's the question: maybe if you would buy every hot sauce individually, but how many of them are uneaten, right? That's part of the question too.
None. I eat them all.
You eat them all. Okay. Maybe you're an outlier.
Okay.
Maybe
here's my understanding of how subscription box, the first subscription boxes I ever became aware of were makeup subscription boxes. I don't know if they were literally the first, and I obviously don't wear makeup, but I talked to people who like makeup and like subscription boxes. And what they said was the makeup companies, there is so much margin in makeup that if you can sell somebody a lipstick that they like or something, then you'll make your money back instantly. And so they can afford to give out these tiny samples at a loss because they make it back and people who are like, oh, this is really good. I like this shade. And then they buy it. And the problem I've always seen is that FPV doesn't have high margins. And it doesn't, the parts are generally not you get if you may or may not like the shade of lipstick you get, but at the end of the day you're probably not super picky. Whereas if I have a flight controller, I may never use it because it's just not the kind I want to use or whatever. It always seemed like FPV was not the right business for subscription boxes because of those things.
Yeah, every box I've looked at has been exceedingly expensive for what you get compared to buying the things I would have bought individually. You know what I mean? That's been my case for pretty much everything. Even doing the HelloFresh or whatever. When you actually look at what you get out of that, unless you're right,
you're paying more for HelloFresh, 100%.
Right. So stuff like that. I don't know. There's just a lot of those boxes and subscription things that are I don't know.
HelloFresh, you're paying for the recipe and the prep. And you're paying more for sure, but you're paying for the recipe and the prep. And, we've had HelloFresh at times and enjoyed it. Then we cancel it. But the FPV subscription boxes, you get, the best ones, I think, were like FPV Crate, where at least you get a good T-shirt. Although if you didn't like it, I like FPV shirts.
But that's the whole thing is who buys an FPV shirt every month? So you now have given an extra cost to yourself every month that you've decided is worth it because you think there's value in the shirt. That's my point. I totally get what you're saying, but I would not have bought the shirt otherwise. So the box has made me spend more money that I would not have spent on something I would not have purchased.
Yeah,
right?
No, that's not a good deal. And then so often the box comes and I've seen the back end of this. I remember when I did a Rotor Riot subscription box back when Quadbox was a thing, and I was astounded at how hard those guys worked to try to find things that came in under their shockingly small budget. And it's not like there's... And I said, well, can we put the this was way back when the very first JBF7 was coming out. And I said, well, we should put the JBF7 in the box. And they were like, yeah, sure, we can move 1,000 of them. And I was like, great. And they were like, okay, but here's what we need to pay for them. And I was like, guys, we're going to sell all of them anyway. Why would you, I mean, no offense, but we're not going to give them to you for half price just so you can take away from people who would have bought them at full price. And they were like, yeah, no, we understand. And I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? It was very, very challenging. And I just didn't see how they made it work. And then eventually the boxes go out of business. And I'm like, oh, I guess it doesn't work.
Yeah, my point is those factors are what make me think that shipping those boxes don't make any sense. Like the fact that they have to make those decisions, and the fact that you have to add the shipping, and you had to make custom boxes, and you have to maintain a website, and you have a stock room and storehouse, and you have somebody packing those things, and like all those things don't happen if I go buy my own shit.
Yeah.
Right. And so like you're creating all this excess. So I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Yep. Maybe there's a way to make it work. And that's what we see. Every FPV subscription box eventually goes out of business after a year or two.
I was going to start an FPV subscription box. And then I looked into it, and it was terrible value. Like I could not make it work for the value did not make any sense. I was like, this is crazy. It was like, basically I was going to do prop drop or something, right? Where you give people new props every month because everybody's going to use props. Yeah. But then like feasibly, the money just doesn't work out. Like there's no way to make it work for the value, right? No matter how you scale it, no matter how many sets of props you get in there, right? You're paying for boxes and packaging and like overhead. And it just like feels like you're just cheating people on selling them props. And I'm not making the money; it's all in the overhead. Right.
And the thinking, I think, the thinking of like stores, like Rotor Riot had Quadbox, and then FPV Crate is affiliated with Get FPV and Lumineer. The thinking is that, hey, we got all this shit sitting on our shelves and no one's buying it. I know, we'll put it in the boxes. Now, I'm not quoting anybody there, and I'm sure that the people behind the boxes would say that's not our intent, but I guarantee you it's been in the back of their head, and they're like, listen, this is a perfectly good flight controller, nobody's buying it because it's not the latest and greatest, but we'll put it in the box, it'll be fine. And they think that's how they're going to get their margins. And it turns out you don't have that much stuff sitting on the shelf that anyone actually wants, and then eventually you go through it and then you have nothing left and your subscribers are mad. Is how it seems to work.
I'll tell you something I do like the idea of, because like I feel like it's a more obvious. I don't know. I'm not as mad about the Newbie Drone boxes. Newbie Drone sometimes does the hey, spend $50, we'll send you some random stuff, because that feels more like you're not subscribing to this monthly. You're just like, hey, I'm ready to spend $100 and I don't care what I get.
Well, and if they only do it every few months or 6 months or however many, chances are they're doing it because they've got good stuff. Like people are saying in the chat, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but they're saying my FPV Crate was a good box. And part of the reason it was a good box is because we were just about to release the QAV-S JB frame. So it was a new product that we wanted to get publicity for, so we were willing to give it away at a lower price to build publicity. And number two, it was a frame, so frames have decent margin. Once you finish the R&D cost on the frame, the actual production costs are relatively low, and it was made by Lumineer, so there was no distributor margin, so they could afford to give that % away, and they could get it in the box, and people really liked it. But those stars don't align very often, and that's why the boxes often are just shitty.
Yep. So I see a lot of people in chat mentioning that they were happy with their FPV Crate, and I'll say I saw just as many people come in monthly to the Discord or my random chats and say they were super unhappy with what they got in their FPV Crate, and they were sad that they got it. So I think that's the problem, is like some people will enjoy it and some people won't, but everybody signed up for the same crate, all that stuff. So
and it's just a question of what % of your customers can you keep happy each month, because eventually people will get bored, get a bad one, and decide to unsub, and the last box that they get, they'll be like, this box was shitty, I'm out of here. So there'll always be somebody who thinks your box was shitty. It's just what % of people keep coming back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that story went on longer than I thought it was, but it was a really interesting discussion. Thank you.